It was 2015 and Halloween was just round the corner. I was 14, so I'll try and remember as much as I can about what happened. Halloween has always been my favourite holiday. There was just something about the horror and the macabre that I was drawn to. Well, this Halloween was going to be different. Me and my buddies were going to go explore this old summer camp that was about 10 miles out of our town. Me being a big Friday the 13th fan, this was just going to be incredible. We had come up with this idea after a night of watching scary movies. I never actually knew that there was a summer camp around our town, and it was such an awesome feeling when my friends agreed to go with me to explore it. We decided that we would go on Halloween night just to make it that much better. Fast forward to Halloween morning, I woke up just before 7 AM. I was sure I only got an hour or two sleep. I just couldn't sleep during the night, I was too excited. I basically spent the whole night watching movies and messing around on my phone. I got up and sent my friends a message about what we would do for the day and how we could get to the camp, because we were all too young to drive. We decided we would just take our bikes, as there was no buses going that way and we couldn't afford a taxi. It sucked that we would have to bike 10 miles. I was very lazy and really didn't want to exercise, but it was the only way we would get there, and I was too excited to let it bother me. One of my friends suggested we try to get to the camp by sunset, then we could really get into the Halloween spirit. Most of the day I spent just getting ready and making sure I had everything I needed in my backpack, like a flashlight, spare batteries, food and water. After I'd packed everything and double checked I'd not forgotten anything, I went to the kitchen to explain to my mum that I was going to go to a friend's house and play video games and enjoy the rest of the holiday. She told me to be safe and not to be back too late. I gave her a hug and made my way to my buddy's house. It was only a few blocks away, so I decided to slowly ride there to save my energy for the ride to the camp. I arrived at my friend's house and started waiting for everyone else to arrive. After 20 to 30 minutes, everyone was there and we could make our way up to the camp. We started the long ride there and started talking to each other, asking each other questions like, what would you do if there was someone there when we got there? And making fun of each other about getting scared. The ride honestly seemed like it only took a few minutes. We were chatting and having so much fun, I almost forgot that we were going to the camp. We ditched our bikes in the woods near the entrance of the camp and made our way up this hill to see if we could see the sunset. Just as we got to the peak, we could see the sunset just over the lake. It was really magical. It was like a wave of just pure calm and happiness hit me. Here on this hill with my buddies, it was the best feeling ever. After the sun went down, we headed back down the hill and onto the camp. It was only a short walk. We managed to get there without using our flashlights. We said we'd only use them if we had to, just in case there was anyone walking about so we wouldn't get noticed. We made our way to the first cabin. We tried peering in the windows, but they were so dirty and we couldn't see anything inside. We moved on to the next one to see if them windows were any better. I decided I'd run ahead a little to see if I could see anything. As I wiped the window, I thought I saw something inside dart across the room. There was a small beam of moonlight that was coming in through a gap in the roof, so I could only just see. It startled me a little, but I thought it was just my eyes playing tricks on me. I didn't tell my friends about it though, because they would just think I was trying to scare them. We slowly walked around the camp, trying the doors to the cabins, and trying to force the windows open. We found a little bench just on the water's edge, and thought we'd take a break and just relax for a few minutes. We set our backpacks down behind us and started talking about what we would do next. All of a sudden, I had this feeling like someone was watching me. I glanced over to the cabins, looking at everything I could, just to make sure there was nobody there. I couldn't shake this feeling, but I couldn't see anything, so I tried putting it to the back of my head and forgetting about it. I told my friends that I feel a little uneasy, and if we could carry on and explore some more. We turned around to get our backpacks, but mine was missing. I swore I'd left it just behind me. I was a little freaked out, but I must have just misplaced it. I asked to borrow my friend's flashlight to see if I could see where I'd put it. After a few minutes, I found it hanging in a tree, about 5 foot behind us. There's no way I'd put it there. My friends thought I was playing a prank on them and kept laughing at me. I knew something wasn't right. I asked if we could just leave. They kept reminding me that we'd come all this way and that we shouldn't leave so soon. I took a deep breath and agreed to stay. Safe to say, I was much cautious walking around now. My senses were going crazy. It was like I could hear every little sound and see all the movement around me. We got to the main cabin, I guess you'd call it, and tried the door. It smelled a little musky, kind of like a mossy kind of smell. Like when dirt gets wet and it's quite overpowering. I put my hand over my nose and waved my flashlight around, trying to see if I could see anything. All the rooms just seemed to be full of decaying furniture, like chairs and desks. We got to the last two rooms at the back of this cabin. I twisted the handle and opened the door, and my god, the smell that came from it. It smelled like someone had been living there. There was flies everywhere, it was horrible. I saw a small mattress leaning up against the wall, and loads of empty bottles, and trash. I looked at my friends and said we should just leave. They agreed with me. We turned around and started speed walking to the door. We got outside after a small pause of nervous laughter. We thought it was time we headed back to the bikes. I had to go to the bathroom bad by this point. My friends agreed they'd wait for me whilst I went to relieve myself. I found a tree and began to urinate. I was almost done when I heard a bush rustle in the distance. My heart started beating out my chest. I zipped up my pants and tried to remain still. I saw what looked like a black figure peering at me from beyond this bush. I legged it back to my friends and told them there was someone over there looking at me. Before they could respond, I said we need to leave right now. I ushered them to start running to the bikes. We got to the bikes and started pedaling as fast as we could. It didn't take long for me to get out of breath, but I just kept pedaling. I guess the fear and adrenaline helped. When we eventually got home, it was around midnight, but I couldn't sleep that night. All I could picture was that guy staring at me from beyond that bush.